Radio City 97 FM, GNL Zamba.
Yes. You're now tuned into greatness.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
GNL Zamba, open sesame. That's the last time you were here, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I saw the clip that you posted online, and I was like, wow. I look different, though.
You look different.
I looked skinnier.
That's because you weren't making as much money then.
Probably.
I have beef, though.
What?
I have beef.
Where is this coming from?
And I feel like I'm not the only one in Uganda who has beef. Can I tell you why?
Tell me.
All right. I'm going to use your own words against you. Are you ready?
Let's see. Let's see where this goes.
All right.
I was born here.
Do you hear?
I will live here.
Do you hear?
And I will die here.
Wow.
Explain yourself, GNL.
Wow.
I was born here.
I was born here.
I will live here.
I will live here.
I will die here.
I might.
I see you in LA these days.
Yes.
What is going on with that?
Well, I didn't specify what.
Where you
it was on Earth. It was on Earth, and I didn't specify what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but home. The definition of home doesn't change. Like Uganda is always home, and the love for the homeland is always there. But the world is becoming a global village. We can live anywhere, impact many people that we would like to. And return home and share what we've learned. So,
you know what? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
I know. Oh shit.
But all right. I mean, I don't even know where to start. We haven't seen each other on SMS for is it over 5 years? Over 5 years. I think.
It's
5 or 6
4 years. 4 years and a half.
4.5 years.
Because I left Uganda in 2015.
Okay.
2015, and then I came back November.
But you didn't visit.
I didn't visit. But this time, and then I went away.
And then you left.
And then I said I was going to come back.
You came back in December.
Most
and
people did not believe me. They did not believe me. Yeah.
By the way, I saw you going to all those stations. I saw you going to like NTV, NBS, all these radio stations. I was like, okay, it's okay. Gino will come to SMS. He'll come to SMS.
I was saving the best for last.
I even saw you going to like D-Dance show and Who's show and whatever. I was like, no, he's gonna come. Next thing I know, he's on a plane back to LA. But then you came back.
Yeah, I knew that the timing, we needed enough time.
Okay.
And the universe sometimes dictates where we are. So I think the universe was saving this moment and savoring it for just today and the fans that are listening in right now.
LA has made you a very smooth talker. How's life? How's marriage? Let's talk about marriage. Let's
talk about marriage.
How is married life?
Marriage. I think it has made me the best man ever.
Yeah?
I believe.
How's Tamar?
She's good. She wanted to come with me.
Yeah.
But then Trill came over to the house.
Are you serious?
Yes. Actually, I'm not even meant to say that he's here because he's only here for just a few hours. Trill is an international star.
Big Trill is like that now?
He's now just dropping into the country.
Let me check something.
Yeah.
I wanna try something right now on air. I want to see if it's gonna work.
I might have let something out of the bag.
Whatever.
I wasn't meant to let you know.
It doesn't matter.
I just snitched.
All right. I have I like your snitching.
Yeah.
I have 3 numbers for Big Trill.
No, right now you might get to 5 numbers.
Let me see if he'll pick up any of these. Yeah. Okay. If he's too big a star to pick up our call.
Yeah.
First one's off. First one's off. Let's try the next one.
Yeah. I told you'll try about 5 numbers.
I think I have all his like girlfriend numbers or something. The ones he's like switched off.
Yeah.
All right, let's try the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ringing.
Oh, okay.
But will he pick up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mr. DJ.
Big Trizzy. Okay. What's up, Big Trill? You're on air. Don't swear.
Whoa. Okay, that's crazy.
I'm here with G, man.
Oh yeah. He told me he's coming over.
I didn't even know you still pick up your phones. That's mean you're not a bigger superstar as you think you are, man.
Nah, so real superstars pick up their phones.
Yeah, depending on who is calling.
I like that. All right, that's it. I was just checking to see if you'd pick up. Bye.
I was disappointed when I came back to Uganda and I was seeing that most of the people hadn't taken anyone under their wings or shared their limelight.
That's interesting.
To me, that's not growth. You're not leaving a legacy behind. You need to share that limelight. If you've been a star for longer than 5 years in Uganda and you haven't shared your platform with anybody, nobody has come through in your camp. Not only hip hop music alone, but
all music.
I'll stick to hip hop music because it's my passion.
Yeah.
But all music. If you see an artist who hasn't raised somebody or shared their limelight with somebody, that's a bad person right there.
That's an interesting point.
I won't even bite my tongue. That's a bad person right there.
I haven't thought about that much.
Yeah, think about it.
But I think you're right. I'm trying to think. Like I mean, just with the Baboon Forest camp alone.
Yes.
I mean, the two big names, Munji and Big Trill,
yes.
the two guys.
And then there were other people who were just affiliated. They didn't have the contracts with us, but we knew that they would benefit from having a manager, free transportation to the show,
right,
radio interviews so that they see how Big Trill, Munji, and GNL conduct themselves on an interview, how they promote a song. Knowing that knowledge and sharing that knowledge, to me,
spreading it
is the real essence of what hip hop is, which is sharing knowledge and becoming the best version of ourselves.
All right, I'm writing down all the things I'm going to talk to you about. Because I'm going to talk about Baboon Forest.
Yes. I'm the boy from Kawempe.
You're the boy from Kawempe.
Mudangala Kawempe.
Exactly.
You know, like not even the fancy Kawempe.
Wait, there's a fancy Kawempe?
Of course, there's Kawempe in Bogo. There's the fancy part of Kawempe.
Okay.
But I come from that part of Kawempe where most people are even ashamed where they come from.
So how did this Kawempe boy get all the way to Malibu?
I think I told myself stories and I began discovering a world that was out there. The world that my father dreamt for me. I kept on improving on that world to a point that you didn't even understand what the dream was becoming.
That's a beautiful thing.
But yeah, I grew up around situations that I now look back upon and I'm like, okay, there was domestic violence around where I grew up from. Nabukanga Moala, like used to like really jump over. The things I speak about in Koi, none of them is a lie. It's really real.
Yeah.
We used to stand next to a piggery, like a pigsty. So you imagine waking up on Sunday morning. There was a guy over Ali Musamize who used to live like in a house next to us. Was like a Musao Muganda.
Yeah.
Really rich. But we used to pass this compound and then see mad people when they had been tied up. Now I think about such situations and I'm like, that was some kind of ignorance. People think they could heal somebody by just tying them up. And then it made me realize how much pain those people were going through.
Yeah.
And then my dad not wanting to buy me all these video games and buy all the tapes that I needed to keep me inside the house was actually to protect me from the neighborhood around me. The domestic violence, the gang violence that was around. Not really gang violence, but the thieves that used to haunt Kampala used to come from my neighborhood. So it's that kind of neighborhood. And but those are the negatives that I've said. Okay. But the positives are also many.
Yes.
And that's why I love what that hood has made me, and I'm proud to represent it anywhere I go.
So Nsimbi, what does Nsimbi mean?
Nsimbi is basically this thing that I'm wearing. It's a
that thing.
Yes, it's a cowrie shell.
All right, let me just try and describe this.
Yes.
It's like you're wearing it on your wrist.
Yes, it looks like a vagina.
Okay. Wait, this thing over here.
Yes, the cowrie shell.
So one of them, not the whole thing.
No, not the whole thing. Just the shell.
That's the shell.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So Nsimbi means something which is of the sea and something which is of the land, right?
Okay.
And it also happens to be my grandfather's name.
Nice.
It's deeper because I believe it looks like the gateway to life, which I call the V. You get me? But it's also found in all indigenous communities on all coasts of the world.
Yeah.
In Africa, in China, whether you go to South America, the Incas, the Aztecs as well in Mexico, who became the Americans, the indigenous Americans. So this seed, to me, represents something which is indigenous, something which is of the sea and of land. And it looks like a female gateway to life. I believe if all Asian communities have this in common, that has been really central to their communities, and I'm choosing, and I'm called Nsimbi, and it's also called Nsimbi. It represents a much deeper story, a story of humanity and bringing people together. So we adopted it as our band name, me and my wife.
Yeah, that's
and
where
it's
your
also
music's
our
going.
Marriage name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your marriage name? What do you mean by that?
Nsimbi. We're all Nsimbi. She's Miriam Nsimbi. I'm Lupia Zita Tulie Nsimbi.
I I never knew your real name.
Do you see how much swag is in my name? Let me explain this.
Okay.
Do you see how much swag is my name? It's Lupia Zita. Lupia means Lupia, which is like rupees.
Okay.
Lupia Zita. So there's a story behind every name. Lupia Zita. Tulia and Simbi, like let's blast away with this money.
I like it.
So everything in it has a deeper meaning. Then it also has a swag meaning behind it, which describes the man that I've become, because the name has been in my family for generations.
I love it, man.
To be able to carry the Simbi name, I'm the third of his name. Though sometimes I brag and say I'm the first of his name because it's like some Game of Thrones type of shit.
Baboon Forest and Simbi, how that's
the BFE,
what's happening and everything like that.
How's the BFE?
All that stuff.
BFE? Yeah.
And I was writing them all down. I want to talk about film, all the stuff you're talking about.
Yes.
So we're going to try and get through all of that. We'll also try and get your calls. It's best if you try and tweet us. Hashtag is SNMS. Yeah, if you calling will probably be the best way to get through. GNL's in the building. Let's go a little old school. Right Radio City. Amanijava. Atamanija agenda.
Oh, Chitegera. You need to know where you're from in order to know where you're going.
Yes.
Yes.
I was actually looking for the clip of don't even try.
I don't wanna make your mama cry. Jesus, Muhammad, Hail Selassie. Abana muchidongo basina madema de cry. But MC Manyo bisatunga saini ya pai. Angry baboons, determination in my eye. You will die. Sing domination in my eye. Angry baboons, determination in my eye. You will die. See determination in my eye.
Wow. Do you know, by the way, so do you know what's funny about that clip?
Yeah.
In the background of that video is so Munji was there.
Yes.
Big Phil was there as well.
Yeah.
In the background of that video is Phil Kyria, who's now a presenter here at the show.
My God.
Yeah, he told me he was there.
Yeah.
He was sitting right in the corner there. He said
Phil was beginning to manage Munji.
Exactly. So he had just come in. He was like, I sat in the corner. I was like, I didn't even remember you.
Oh, wow.
Because he was so short, I couldn't even see him.
Yes. Shout out to Phil.
You're doing film. You're in LA, obviously.
Yes.
Tell us about the film work that you've been working on.
So, when I first went to Hollywood, I wanted to do what everybody expects a whole person who has moved to Hollywood to do, which is to find roles.
Yeah.
Roles to act in. And
you went into act?
Yeah. I went into acting.
Okay.
I went into acting. And,
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. I did a lot of acting.
Okay.
Some really seaside role acting. And
what
then
kind
some
of stuff?
B-roll acting, you know.
Like television or?
It was like television, like daytime television stuff.
Okay.
And I began also booking some stuff for MTV.
Nice.
And then I began getting into some ads.
Okay.
And then when you get to Hollywood after spending your first, second year, the jobs begin coming, but you get to realize that there's so many people chasing that very small piece of cheese.
Yeah.
And that's when I began interacting with the big wigs, and everybody's advising me, oh, you have a very big market over there. Why don't you learn every nut and bolt of this?
Yeah.
And then you can grow into something even bigger.
Right.
So it was more of, it was a conversation at a party that actually changed me. I had a discussion about it with so many other people who are directors, starting to be directors, people who are producing, and that changed my whole way of looking at things. Because even in Baboon Forest, I always had a question for people. I always say, do you want to be Michael Jordan? Or do you want to be the guy that owns the Chicago Bulls?
Okay.
And always, for me, for other people, everybody wanted to be Jordan, because when you're Jordan, that's where all the girls are. That's where all the fame is and the lights.
Jordan does not have a bad life.
He doesn't have a bad life at all. And the payment is not bad.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied having all those things. But I'm a builder. I have this bug in me that always wants to do something new that has never been done. Something which doesn't only cater for one person, but at least 3-5 people can get through the gate.
Yeah.
So if you're an actor, you can only influence very few people. You're in a position to only make decisions basically for you and your team.
Yeah.
But if you can run a whole industry by understanding how industries run.
Is that the vision you're looking at for, I guess, Baboon Forest now? Is that where you're looking?
Most definitely.
Let me tell you where...
That's the vision for Simbi. That's the vision for Baboon Forest for me.
All right. So let me tell you where we, as fans of GNL,
yes.
thought I thought you'd gone. I'm not gonna lie to you, because we know when people leave and they go to wherever they're going, they rarely come back. They rarely look back.
Yes,
and I saw a guy who tweeted today. A tweet was said, I wish I could leave Uganda, because Uganda's too hectic. Something of the sort. Like Uganda's too hectic. I wish I leave. I was like, man, the other places aren't less hectic than Uganda.
Oh my God, people have no idea.
But when people leave, they usually don't. They don't reconnect back with. Yes. They usually go and then. So I'll be honest, man. When I saw you on Instagram with your fabulous pictures, LA life and stuff, I'm like, GNL, I'd go back and I'd listen to Uganda Yafe. I'd be like, that guy lied to me.
But here's the thing, though, and the thing which comes back really full circle.
Yeah.
Everything to me comes back full circle. There's always a part where you have to come back to where you started with so many things. That's why even on I'm looking at, there's some retrospect.
Yeah.
Right. And then look at where you are right now. That means that you've fought your journeys and then you've come back to this spot right now where you can look back.
Yeah.
So even in my journey, talking about I will live here, I will die here, and all those other things, I usually use the allegory of Jesus' story. Jesus went to Egypt, disappeared for 15 years without coming back to Jerusalem. But when he came back to Jerusalem, he wrote the best gospel that up to now we're still talking about.
Yeah.
So for me, going away is in the same vein of our ancestors when they said okutambula kulaba okudda kunyumya. Ebintu by'embeera nsobola okwogerako kati byendowoleza Baboon Forest. Because the Baboon Forest is just group, it's just label. Baboon Forest is a movement. It's a movement of people that want to move together forward. And to me, hip-hop being hip, the hip in hip-hop being to know, okubeera ng'omanyi, and the hope to it's some kind of movement. So to me, hip-hop is the movement of the intelligent.
Right.
And I put that into Baboon Forest being like this unstoppable group of powerful apes that can do whatever, basically, that are evolving to something better. So it's a group effort. So my vision for Baboon Forest is not only for GNL, it's not only for one artist that I'm going to sign, but I'm looking at the whole tribe.
Okay.
Yes. To me, it's all about finding the perfect partners to build with. And
I feel like marriage has been good for you.
I think marriage is really good. I'm still very cocky, which is one of the things which I'm trying to get out of my character. I can't. You find iron sharpens iron. If you find the right person, they'll definitely better you.
Yeah.
If you find a bad person, you'll decline. But I'm not talking about financially only, the things that you can build financially, but even just emotionally, and also I'm big on this. I don't know if it's because I live in LA or California. I'm really big on this thing of being the highest version of yourself.
Okay.
And attaining in Maslow's words, it's like that high point on his pyramid of the hierarchy of needs, where it's self-actualization. And my name itself is greatness of no limits, which means at the highest level of self-expression, you achieve that greatness of no limit. The self-expression being that part of you which is not the physical.
Yeah,
so my wife is really big on community projects. She worked in Uganda for 5 years, working in the most dangerous places after the war.
Yeah.
You get me? And she's really big on humanity. She's big on culture. She has even made me, I'm really big on my Uganda and Buganda culture, and I'm really proud of that. But she has even made me appreciate it a little bit more.
Nice.
Seeing how Jewish people work in their community and help each other out, I would like to sow the same seeds in whenever I begin seeing negativity and us not working together to build big monumental things, like our ancestors were able to build pyramids and all these the sphinxes, and at least I read all this history and I'm like, where's the next Mansa Musa? Why isn't that Zamba? Why isn't that Mr. Nsimbi? Why isn't there somebody building something that inspires us as black people to be greater?
I have a
that inspires humanity. Sorry.
I have a question. I don't even know if you're the right person to ask, or even the right person to answer, but there's something you said that interested me. Hip hop culture is very strong. Yes. Right? And very, very strong. So is Buganda culture.
Yes.
So I'm wondering is there a way of someone like you fusing those two very strong cultures? Like, is there a way of, because if you even talk about Luga flow, Yuga flow, whatever, it still feels separate from Buganda culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
It feels more hip hop than Buganda.
Yes. What you're talking about is basically, I feel hip hop is underutilized because even in the scholars will tell you hip hop began in New York. I refuse to believe that, because my common sense tells me these Africans around the fireplace universe. This is part of what my lecture was about. You find that we drew all these symbols on caves and began telling stories, the earliest stories.
Yeah.
Then around fireplaces, we began archiving our own history without writing it down. Then when we began writing it down, we did graffiti, which is hieroglyphs, right?
Yeah.
So are you going to tell me that these Africans that were dancing around with all that poetry, that to a beat, that isn't hip hop, until somebody else, to me, it's a resurgence. For hip hop to begin its journey in New York, it's because this culture made its way to the Caribbean, and that DJ, and mixed with so many other African cultures, to African and Puerto Rican culture, and all this Latina culture. It was a resurgence of something which was already here.
Yeah, I think maybe a continuation of something.
Yeah.
Right?
So coming back to this Buganda thing, the only reason I became monumental, the reason my music blew up, is because I realized that there was a disconnect between what we were rapping about. We were being inspired by Nas, but when I realized that we can be inspired by the traditions here, I designed my whole album to be a connection between tradition and the modern world. I wanted people to look far back. It's called Koi Koi for a reason. People around the fireplace, Koi Echikocho. It's called Riddles of Life, Koi Koi, because I wanted you to go back to that fireplace.
Yeah.
And from that fireplace, even right now, people are still looking. I'm still taking you back to that very place. From the way we look at our art, the way we look at our identity as Africans, from the way we look at our pride, from the way we look at preserving our languages, all of that is around the fireplace. It's the very essence of the GNL brand and the Simbi brand.
Man, I forgot how much fun it is to talk to you.